this is the introductory class, not the disease class. Okay, you have to know the introduction and function of kidney and what are the signs symptoms of kidney diseases. In this way, I will tell you, and you just. So first slide. So first you have to know the functions of kidney. All of you know the functions of kidney. So kidney, the functioning unit is nephron. Yes or no? So nephron is made up of glomerulus and tubules. Glomerulus and tubules, and each kidney contains, all of you know that 1 million of nephron. So you have to know, you know that kidney maintains, that means kidney maintains the internal hemostasis of cellular metabolism and its function. Okay. Second, that means kidney receive the 20% of the cardiac output. That means blood in each cardiac output, 20% of the blood going through the kidney, and that blood undergo filtration, glomerular filtration, followed by tubular secretion and reabsorption. So you know that the tuft of capillaries, no, glomerulus means tuft of capillaries, and for the afferent, all the blood will enter, and after that, inside the, that means endothelium. So endothelium, there is fenestration, then basement membrane, and then the endothelium, sorry, epithelium, and there is the podocytes. So through which the, this is the glomerular structures, and through which the filtration occurs, and the all from the plasma, and that part which is some amount of that is secretion and reabsorption in the proximal tubule, distal tubule, in this way, and ultimately the excreted part is go through the collecting tubule, and it is the urine. So urine is the excretion part of the, that means our excretion part is urine. So now you come to what are the excretory function and the functions of kidney. That means you divide into two. One is excretory functions, another is endocrine functions. In excretory functions, you will see that means it balance the water, then electrolyte balance, and acid-base balance, and also that means waste products which are there that will excreted. But not only the excretory function, there is endocrine function also. So this endocrine function is the, all of you know, it secretes the erythropoietin or factor, then active vitamin D, regulate blood pressure, our blood pressure regulation, through which by renin, angiotensin mechanism. So these are renin, prostaglandins, and kinins, through which our blood pressures are maintained. Now you have to know the clinical presentation and pathological correlation of the kidney diseases. First you come to the glomerular disease. If it is disease arises from the glomerulus, that means the clinical symptoms will be hematuria, oliguria, anuria, proteinuria, hypertension. So if it is tubular disease, tubulointerstitial, then there will be polyuria symptoms, then salt wasting and acidosis. Do you hear me? Do you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, no? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes. Then you come to the chronic kidney disease. If a patient is chronic kidney disease, so you have to suspect, that means when there is growth retardation, anemia, and bone deformities, if child may come with these three complaints, presentation, then you have to suspect this child may have CKD, and in that way you have to investigate. Next is voiding difficulty. That means abnormalities in the mixturation. So that means it is lower UTI. So it is poor urinary stream. So they complain of, that means patient poor urine stream is very poor, very less amount of urine is coming. That means there is somewhere there may be obstruction. Then enuresis. Do you know, all of you know that what is enuresis? That means involuntary passage of urine. Then dribbling. So it passes dribbling, drop by drop. And there may be stanuary also. So if this type of symptoms is present, that means always think it is lower urinary tract symptoms. Now you come to the renal diseases in different age groups. So newborn, always you suspect Kakut. That is called Kakut. Kakut means congenital anomalies of the kidney and the urinary tract. That is, by birth, child is having some abnormalities in the kidney. Then infants into 3 years, most common is UTI, urinary tract infection. So you may get HUS. HUS means hemolytic uremic syndrome, because this time dysentery, diarrhea are common during this period. And from this, when you will take the class of HUS, how the diarrhea can cause the HUS, you will know. Then nephrotic syndrome and RTA. RTA means renal tubular acidosis. Fanconi syndrome, Wills tumor. These are the common diseases of the kidney during this period. Then 3 to 6 years, most common is minimal sense nephrotic syndrome. Then UTI, then post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis, and you may get ricket also if there is a chronic kidney disease. So patient may present with ricket. Age 6 to 14 years, not only all these post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis, then CKD, hypertension, you have to think of in this age group the autoimmune disease, collagen vascular disease like SLE, systemic lupus erythematosus. Okay. So investigations, what are the investigations you will do in a renal disease? So urine analysis is must. So urine analysis will give you clue what is the disease and in which whether it is glomerular upper UTI, that means infections in the kidney, or it is lower UTI. So urine will tell you. But then you have to go through the biochemical urine analysis. I will discuss broadly later. So then biochemical evaluation. So always you have to kidney function as the excretory function. So you have to see the blood urea. The normal blood urea value is 20 to 35. Then if you know the normal things, then you can compare with the abnormal things. So always remember the normal value. Then the serum creatinine. The normal value is 0.2 to 0.5 below 6 years and 0.4 to 0.8 milligram year above 6 years. Then you have to see the serum sodium, which is 135 to 145 milliequivalent normal. Then serum potassium 3.5 to 5.5 milliequivalent per liter. So next is disease specific. Some investigations you have to do. If it is glomerular disease, so you have the nephrotic syndrome. Then you have to go for serum cholesterol, serum albumin, then calcium, phosphorus, alkaline phosphatase. All these investigations you have to do. This is related to the glomerular specific disease, whether it is acute nephritis, whether it is nephrotic syndrome. So accordingly, you have to go through the investigations. If it is tubular disease arises from the tubules, then bicarbonate level, you have to blood pH, then urine pH, then osmolality, all these are must you have to do. Then serology investigation in special situations, that means suppose ASO titer. When you do the ASO titer, suppose the case is post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis, then post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis. That means this ASO titer is 1 antibody, so you will get in a post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis. Then C3 complement. So it does complement in nephrotic syndrome, complement minimal change, no change. But if it is acute glomerular nephritis post-streptococcal, then C3 will be depleted. Then ANA. ANA means anti-nuclear antibody. So if you suspect collagen vascular disease, so ANA is important. Anti-DS-DNA, all of you know anti-DS-DNA is specific for SLE. Now you come to the urine analysis. So you have to know extensively urine analysis. it will give clue to the disease. So urine analysis itself called that liquid biopsy of the kidney. Okay. So when you do the urine analysis, always take the fresh urine. That means it is the best. First morning boiling urine, because that is the most concentrated urine, and clean catch urine. Clean catch urine means, so before collecting the urine, you have to wash the genital part, then with soap, and after that you take the in a sterile vial, you take the midstream urine. Okay, so and that urine should be analyzed within 1 hour of collection. If otherwise, you will miss some findings. And that's why always you remember, when you test the urine, always urine test within 1 hour after you catching the urine. Okay, so urine specific gravity, always remember it is 1.000 to 1.030. Then urine pH is 4.5 to 8. Then urine analysis, so you have to, we are concerned because glomerular disease, always kidney disease, we are concerned with the protein and hematuria. Okay, so protein, how will you detect protein in urine? There are 3 tests. One is boiling test, another is semi-quantitative method, sulfosalicylic acid test, another is dipstick. Dipstick is on first 2 years it is cost effective, but dipstick is a bit costly, but it is good. So boiling test, all of you know, you have done already in your this one pathology. So you take the 10 to 15 ml of urine in a test tube, then upper third you boil, and if the turbidity present, then you have to, this may be due to either albumin or it's phosphorus. So sorry, phosphate. So then you add 3 drops of acetic acid. So after giving the acetic acid, if the turbidity persists, that means protein is positive. But that means a phosphate dissolved in acetic acid. Semi-quantitative method. So you 10% sulfosalicylic acid added to the urine. If turbidity present, that means protein is present. Then dipstick. It is semi-quantitative, same mainly for, so you just like dipstick, glucose, whatever dextrose stick, it is also like this. You put the in the urine and you color, you match, and it will say 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus. So again, sometimes you need to see the reducing substances. For reducing substances, Benedict's test, and for the glucose, specific for glucose, there is another glucose dipstick for glucose oxidase test nowadays available. So urine analysis, always you go for microscopy analysis. So you take 10 ml urine for 5 minutes. You centrifuge it. After that, you decant the supernatant. After that, the suspension, that means you add 0.5 ml urine in the suspension. Then placed in a side, then with a cover slip, you see the number of RBC in 20 feet. If 5 or more RBC present in one high power field, that means it is hematuria is present. That means it is microscopic hematuria. Again, you have to count the WBC. If it is present 5, because it is centrifuged urine, always remember, in centrifuged urine, if 5 or more RBC present, that is called microscopic hematuria. WBC more than 5, then it is, that means there is infection is present in the urine. Again, look for cast. So there are cast also there. So each cast will signify the disease. Suppose granular cast, RBC cast, that means acute glomerulonephritis. If it is hyaline cast, it indicates it is nephrotic syndrome. Then you can see the bacteria, yeast, parasite, artifact, everything in urine analysis in the centrifuged urine. So little bit of you have to know glomerular filtration rate. So 2 things are important. One is creatinine clearance. So creatinine clearance, it is in the book also. You how to do it. 24 hours urine collected. Estimate the urinary creatinine and along with the serum creatinine. That is the urine volume. Then after that, creatinine clearance will be UV divided by P. That means urinary creatinine by urine volume by plasma creatinine. So it is normally 80 to 120 ml meter square per body surface area. Then another is GFR. So how will you calculate the GFR? So always there is a formula which is called Stuart formula. So Stuart's formula, you see, it is K into L divided by serum creatinine. That means, so Stuart, the K is a constant for children, that is 0.55, and L means length of the child. That means height in centimeter and divided by serum creatinine. So this is the glomerular filtration rate, how you calculate. So in some diseases, no, you have to go for the imaging study also for kidney. So in kidney diseases, so first line is ultrasound, second mixed-routine cystourethrogram, then in some cases, then accordingly disease related we will tell you, that's why I am telling. Then nuclear imaging where it is required, then we will discuss in classes, that means next classes. Then plain X-ray, then IVU, MRI scan. These are the microscopic examination of the cast. So first one is the hyaline cast, that is important. WBC cast you will get UTI. Hyaline cast you will get in the nephrotic syndrome. Granular cast, RBC cast you will get in acute glomerulonephritis. Next is always remember, not all urine that is red is hematuria. That means whether it is hematuria, when you will see the red urine, that means hematuria, you will always don't think this is hematuria, this is blood. This may not be blood. So you have to differentiate whether it is hematuria or it is due to pigment, some pigment. So always remember 1 liter blood, that means as little 1 ml of blood, if it is in 1 liter of urine is present, in 1 liter urine 1 ml blood is added, the color will be changed. Understood? So it may pigment also which can change the color of the urine. So RBC in the urine, that means hematuria, it may be microscopic hematuria or it may be macroscopic hematuria. So microscopic hematuria always visible. Macroscopic hematuria you have to see in the microscope. So macroscopic hematuria color is always pink, red or cooler colored. And microscopic hematuria urine color is clear. RBC seen only in the microscope. So red urine, that means heme positive. So what are the causes? So it may be one is hematuria, another is hemoglobinuria, another is myoglobinuria. So you have to differentiate all these three. So first you centrifuge the urine and the serum. So look at the appearance. If urine is clear and serum is clear, both are clear, and under microscope, if the RBC is present more than 5, that is hematuria. Understood? If the urine is pink after centrifuge and serum is also pink, urine does not show any RBC, then you add ammonium sulfate to the clear urine. That means it is hemoglobinuria. That means after adding, if it is clear, that means it is hemoglobinuria. Then ammonium sulfate urine, if the color persists, that means it is myoglobinuria. So in this way, you have to differentiate hematuria, whether it is RBC is present, it is myoglobinuria, or it is a hemoglobinuria. So next is red color urine, which is may be due to RBC, presence of RBC, or may not be due to. If it is, these are the causes which also falsely shows as the hemoglobinuria. Sorry, hematuria. So if you take, it is pink, red, brown, or burgundy color. So if you take beet, blackberries, then medicine nitrofurantoin, rifampicin, chloroquine, desferoxamine, then metronidazole, salicylate, ibuprofen, urate. These causes pink color or red color urine. Then dark brown urine, these are disease related, inborn error of metabolism. You may get alkaptonuria, then homogenistic aciduria, methemoglobinuria, tyrosinosis, melanin, and porphyrin. Now, hematuria more than 5, already I told you, gross. gross hematuria, that means microscopic hematuria. So causes may be upper urinary tract or lower urinary tract. So upper urinary tract means glomerular. So it is always cola colored urine. Along with that, there will be edema, hypertension, and oliguria. Then it is extraglomerular, that means lower. Always it is bright red color and there will be a clot. That means it is UTI, lower UTI. It is due to either cystitis or urethritis. So, upper tract, lower tract hematuria, you have to differentiate. So, these are the differentiating points. So, upper tract, it is brown or cola color, uniform color, urine, no clot. You will present RBC, you will get, if you examine RBC cast, deform RBC, leukocyte or epithelial cell cast, and proteinuria will be more than 100 milligram per dl. But if it is lower urinary tract bleeding, so it is not uniform, clot will be present. And terminal gross hematuria, irritation during voiding symptoms, strangury, RBC morphology will be here eumorphic, no change. So proteinuria will be less than 100 milligram per dl. So you can do in a 3 tube test also. So 1, 1, 1. So in the first part, if it is coming, that means hematuria, first tube, that means always you know that is coming from the urethra. If it is in the second, that means anywhere in the tract, maybe upper, maybe lower. But if it is only in the third, not in the first and second, that means always remember the bleeding is in the bladder, tricon. Okay. Then causes of hematuria, these are the causes: isolated renal disease and multisystemic disease. Isolated IgA nephropathy, Alport syndrome, then glomerular basement membrane thin glomerular basement membrane disease, post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis, membranous nephropathy, then membranoproliferative glomerulonephritis, focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, then rapidly progressing glomerulonephritis. So multisystemic, always you have to think it is secondary. That means kidney cause is secondary due to some disease in the other system. That is SLE, then HSP, HUS. HSP means Henox colon purpura. Then hemolytic uremic syndrome, any vasculitis, good posterior disease, HIV, and sickle cell disease. Now you come to the extraglomerular causes of hematuria. So these are, this part I think you will get in book. So I will not going all. So if it is tubo-interstitial, then pyelonephritis, acute tubular necrosis, these are common. Then anatomic, it is defect of the kidney, that is polycystic kidney disease or multicystic disease of kidney. Then hydronephrosis. If it is vascular, arterial thrombosis, venous thrombosis, hemangioma, aneurysm. If it is hematological, sickle cell disease, coagulation abnormalities, thrombocytopenia, bleeding. So next is evaluation of a renal disease, common manifestations. Already we have mentioned, just I go through. So in a renal disease, what are the manifestations? You will get edema, hematuria, oliguria, growth failure, anuria, dysuria, then anemia, ricket, hypertension, ureteric colic, renal mass, clank pain, abnormalities of micturition. All the diseases are included here. It may be acute glomerulonephritis, it may be nephrotic syndrome, it may be chronic kidney disease, it may be UTI, it may be ureteric colic due to stone, there may be mass in the kidney. All are, you have to separate it out. Then history, post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis. Here, so recent upper respiratory tract infection or skin infection. There may be headache, visual disturbance, epistaxis, features of heart failure. So this we will discuss in the next class. Then UTI, if it is UTI, then dysuria, clank pain, renal colic, calculus, trauma, then sexual abuse, then previous similar episode. Then HUS, there will be history, ear infection, rash, arthritis. Then family history of hematuria, renal problems, hearing problems. Hearing problems, if it is present, that means you will directly go to the Alport syndrome. Then renal stone. Then physical examination, this part, previous part is history. So assessment, so you see the growth, if it is a growth failure, bony deformity is present, hypertension present, then it is pallor edema, that is, it is chronic kidney disease. Then always you have to check if some chromosomal abnormality, along with that there is kidney disease. So Dorset ear tag, then supernumerary nipple congenital anomalies, meaning that anorectal malformation, Crohn-Boley syndrome, simple umbilical artery, Vater. Then skin, you have to check the skin. So purpura, always you have to go for the idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura, immune thrombocytopenic purpura, neurocutaneous marker, blood pressure, CVS, gallop breathing, murmur, then lungs for rails. Then always you have the voiding reflex, that means voiding difficulty. So always you have to check the spine, that means sacral anomalies, spinal anomaly, lower limb deformities. Then wasting, always see the also anal tone also. So always look for distended bladder, then palatable kidney and external genitalia. Investigations, already I told you, so I can skip this one. Imaging also, where it is necessary you have to do. So this is, I will skip. Now, causes of persistent microscopic hematuria. So these are the causes, persistent microscopic. So IgA nephropathy, then Alport syndrome, benign familial hematuria, thin glomerular basement membrane, idiopathic hypercalciuria, persistent asymptomatic isolated microscopic hematuria. So these are asymptomatic. So isolated microscopic hematuria. So this you have to need the follow-up. Urine analysis every 3 months, then annual renal function test. If it persists more than 1 year, then you have to thorough investigations in this case. So indication of renal biopsy, persistent in case of hematuria. So microscopic hematuria persistent, then that means if it is more than 1 year. So we have to follow up that case up to 1 year. So after 1 year also if there is hematuria, you have to go for persistent microscopic hematuria, then recurrent gross hematuria, hematuria with hypertension, then hematuria with significant proteinuria and renal dysfunction. Thank you, now 10 minutes. No? So I will tell you the proteinuria part also because these two are very important. I will go fast in this proteinuria. So always remember protein during the filtration period, only the small molecular weight proteins are filtrated, and that's why that protein you may get in the urine. Normally in 24 hours, protein is found 150 milligram per day. Proteinuria more than 100 milligram per square meter of body surface area is proteinuria is meaning that means it is abnormal. With the dipstick and semi-quadratic assessment, if that test is like this, if no change in dipstick, that means negative, trace is 10 to 30 milligram per dl, 1 plus means 30 to 100 milligram per dl, 2 plus means 100 to 300 milligram per dl, 3 plus means 300 to 1000 milligram per dl, and 4 means more than 1000 milligram. That means if it is more than 1000 milligram, that is called nephrotic range of proteinuria. So 24 hours urinary protein, it is accurate, but it is difficult in children because normal is less than 150 milligram per day. That means less than 4 milligram meter square per hour. Nephrotic range is more than 40 milligram per, if you see in hour, that is for more than 40 milligram. Then next. So proteinuria false negative you may get. So highly concentrated urine you will get proteinuria. Then false negative, then hematuria, edema, and if it is pH more than 7, then antiseptic contamination also. Then transient proteinuria. Sometimes you may also have during fever proteinuria, but this is not the disease. Transient proteinuria you may get in fever, exercise, dehydration, stress, and seizure. Then orthostatic, this is important, orthostatic postural proteinuria. It is when you are standing position, if you examine the urine, you will get the protein. But if you are sleeping down, then you won't get the protein. So commonest cause of commonest cause of persistent proteinuria, it is asymptomatic. It is not associated with hematuria, no hypertension, no edema. Then normal renal function, benign condition. Pathogenesis is till now not clear, and follow-up. till the proteinuria abates. That is orthostatic proteinuria. Then how to diagnose? So you ask the patient void before going to bed, then collect first morning urine sample, do the dipstick. If it is negative or trace protein, then urinary protein creatinine ratio less than 0.2 for 3 consecutive days. That is orthostatic proteinuria. No problem. No or minimal proteinuria in sample collected after overnight recumbents. Ambulant sample, significant proteinuria may go up to 1 gram per 24 hours. Significant proteinuria cause. Now significant proteinuria, that means it is not only the poorly selective, that means protein, not the only minimal change nephrotic syndrome, that is selective proteinuria. Here significant proteinuria, when you will know that is poorly selective. So it is heavy proteinuria. Usually you will get, it is always associated with edema, hypertension, renal dysfunction, glomerular diseases, damaged glomerular basement membrane. Selective proteinuria, basically albumin, minimal change disease. Non-selective proteinuria, you will get in significant lesion nephrotic syndrome, that is focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, reflux nephropathy, IgA nephropathy. Then tubular proteinuria, another, that is tubular proteinuria may be mild to moderate. Renal tubular disease alters the tubular function. It is low molecular weight protein, and again it absorbs in the proximal tubule, and the glomerular function is normal here. So only you will get sometimes with the this one lower urinary tract, that means urinary tract infection, lower urinary. So pyelonephritis, interstitial nephritis, renal hypoplasia, Fanconi syndrome. Then glomerular cause, isolated proteinuria, focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, membranoproliferative glomerulonephritis, diabetic nephropathy, obesity, sickle cell nephropathy. Then proteinuria and hematuria, both. You will get in acute post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis, IgA nephropathy, Alport disease, hemolytic, Hanox colon, purpura, and lupus nephritis. Then diagnostic approach, always you see the quantify the protein, how much it is, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus, SSGFR, ultrasound KUB, serum albumin, serum cholesterol, C3 component, renal biopsy if it is indicated. Thank you. Last part is a bit rapidly I am telling, no? So it is uploaded, no? So do you need upload?